This podcast is produced by the Harwood Productions Podcast Network. To learn more about the network and to find more of our shows, visit us online at www.harwoodpodcast.com.
Hi, I'm Cindy Harris. Welcome to The Humble Bottle. Well, we're back to the wonderful continent of Australia, and today we're going to be examining the wines of Australia, but particularly the white wines. Now, don't assume that if you've tasted an Australian Chardonnay that you've experienced all the wonderful diversity and quality that Australian white wines have to offer. The winemakers down under who are creating these wines have a very unique approach, and it's that approach that's setting their wines apart from the rest of the world. Now, when you have a glass of Australian white wine in hand, it can be anything in color from a very golden yellow to the palest of lemon yellow, and that color depends on a few things. It depends on the region it comes from, how cool or warm it is, and the grape from which it was made. For example, Rieslings are paler than Chardonnays, and so on. So let's start looking at some of these white wines that they offer. First wine we're going to look at is a Chardonnay. Now, in Australia, their Chardonnays can range between a rich, buttery, really heavily oaked Chardonnay to one that is very bright and has an unwooded flair to it. Now, another white that you might not be as familiar with is called a Viognier, and the Viognier is a white grape variety that has actually been rescued from near extinction just a few decades ago, and now it's becoming one of the hottest varietals going. The deal with the Viognier grape is that it's very tricky to grow, however, and there's a couple of areas in especially South Australia and a few vineyards down there that have cracked it. Like Chardonnay, the Australian Viognier is also great when it's matured or fermented in oak, but it doesn't have the harshness, that harsh oakiness that Chardonnays have, but it has the heaviness. So it's a really nice, well-balanced wine, and it's really great to serve like at holiday times when you might think you'd like something heavy, but if you don't want to go with a real oaky, try the Viognier. Now, besides the Viognier, the other wine that surprised me most from Australia was their dry Riesling. And the reason it surprised me is most of the Rieslings that we're used to drinking here in the United States are sweet. But apparently the dry Riesling is actually not easy to make. The sweeter Riesling, the one that has like about 2% of residual sugar per liter, that gives the vintner enough to work with and that can really be crafted. But a dry Riesling must be made from the best fruit that a grower can get their hands on. And it usually means a smaller amount of grapes per acre, and that means the grapes must cost more. Well, lucky for us, they are still very affordable wines, and they've been able to keep their prices and their availability consistent year after year. In Australia today, dry Rieslings are very, very popular, and they're designed specifically to accompany a wide variety of summer foods, so they are great paired with things like grilled and smoked salmon, pasta salads, chicken, and of course seafood like raw oysters and grilled scallops. Now, before we leave Australia, there was just one more thing I want to mention about them. They are credited with popularizing screw cap closures. Now, here in the United States, for many years, a screw top wine was considered to be an inferior wine, but actually the screw top costs the winery more than using a traditional cork. And statistics for cork finished bottles of wine show that as many as 5% of the wines end up going bad and have a tainted flavor due to a bad cork. So a screw top, though it seems less sophisticated, really offers some great advantages to the consumer. The next time you're in the market for a white wine, consider going over to the aisle with the Australian offerings. They've got some great and really unique wines that I think you'd enjoy trying. For more information on this episode, go to our website and visit the Humble Bottle show notes. Also, if you have any questions or ideas for this show, send us an email. Thanks for watching. Cheers!